The husband followed the army as a medic and took his frail and sickly sister-in-law with him. It was only because the rural conditions were poor, and he was afraid she would suffer. I had a difficult childbirth and a high fever, but he refused to return, using the excuse that sister-in-law's cold is more serious, which left me with lifelong health issues. After the child was born, weak and sickly, I begged him to bring back some medicine, but he coldly replied, "My brother's child needs it more. You and the child should endure it." I waited until he came home, thinking that life would finally be stable, only to be met with these words, "Let's get a divorce. My brother's child is being called a bastard at school. We can't let him live without a proper name any longer." I was so angry I could have died. Opening my eyes again, I found myself back on the day of my difficult childbirth. This time, I had already arranged for a doctor in advance, gave birth smoothly, and immediately drafted the divorce papers. This time, I will make sure both him and his sister-in-law pay the price. Chapter 1. Just after giving birth, I didn't even complete my postpartum confinement period before rushing to Ricier's military unit. When I reached the guard post, they warmly welcomed me upon hearing I was there to see Ricier. The soldier beside even joked, "Dr. Sier, who is this? Could it be your admirer? I didn't expect you and your wife to be so happy. Yet there are still girls willing to come all this way to see you." I pushed the door open, wanting to greet Ricier. I didn't expect that as soon as he saw me, his face immediately darkened, because my sister-in-law Reincarnation was lying completely naked beneath him, and Ricier's massaging hands were still resting on her back. The soldier nearby was already used to such scenes and, smiling, closed the door for us. Reincarnation heard my voice and immediately tightened her clothes, looking up at me. "Leah, why are you here?" As soon as the words left my mouth, I looked at the other person's face, and we both froze in surprise. Reincarnation is 6 years older than me, but her skin is now so delicate it could be broken by a gentle blow, without a single wrinkle on her face. Meanwhile, I had just given birth. My body was weak, and I still carried the lingering scent of blood and milk. Seeing this, Ricier hurriedly grabbed a piece of clothing and carefully helped Reincarnation put it on, as he dressed her. His face was full of displeasure. "Leah Song, how did you get here? Don't you know the military is very strict? You can't just come and go as you please." I frowned deeply, looking at him coldly. "If your sister-in-law can settle down here, why can't I, as your wife, come? Or is it that you don't want them to know we're married, and you'd rather they assume you and your sister-in-law are the couple?" Reincarnation finally snapped back to reality. She walked over and leaned against Ricier's side, looking somewhat aggrieved. "Leah, what kind of talk is that? We only let them call us that here to avoid gossip. Reese and I are completely innocent. There's nothing between us." I gave them a cold glance. Ricier turned his head away, avoiding my gaze. At that moment, the door was knocked on again. A chubby little boy rushed in and grabbed Ricier's arm. "Dad, when are you going to transfer me to your household registration? They all say that if the household registration isn't under the same name, we're not a family, but you're clearly my dad." When Ricier heard the word dad, his expression instantly changed. He suddenly gave Reincarnation a sharp look, and Reincarnation quickly pulled the child away. I watched the child's tender back, then turned to look at Ricier, whose eyes began to show panic. "How impressive, Ricier, you don't care about your own child, yet you rushed to be a father to someone else's." He avoided eye contact and looked at my flat stomach. "You gave birth. I've been really busy lately and didn't go back to see you. How could you come here right after giving birth?" I ignored him, took 2 steps back, and looked at him coldly. Ricier seemed to suddenly realize something, forcing a smile as he moved closer. "Leah, what do children know? They're just talking nonsense. Besides, he's my older brother's child. My brother and I are as close as real brothers. So it's not wrong for him to call me dad. If you're willing, you can also transfer Tiensha to our household registration." Chapter 2. I scoffed, finding Ricier's words utterly absurd. But this wasn't the first time he had said something like this. 3 years ago, Ricier's elder brother passed away in an accident. Under his mother-in-law's arrangement, he naturally took on the heavy responsibility of caring for his sister-in-law and nephew. At first, he only occasionally helped out with their care. Little did he know that the more he helped, the closer he became, to the point where he almost regarded his sister-in-law as his own wife. It wasn't until 2 years ago that Ricier was assigned to join the military. I thought Ricier would take me with him. But he said Rina Chin was unwell and needed his care, so he quietly left with her, leaving me alone to care for the elderly mother-in-law. Before he left, he promised to come back to see me every year, and I believed him. In the first year, he did come back once. After that, no matter how many letters I sent or how much I inquired, I never heard from him again. Not even a penny of the allowance or rations was sent, leaving only the words, "The team is tight. Nothing can be allocated." I said I wanted to go find him, but he flatly refused. Following the army is dangerous, it's not suitable for a woman to get involved. I naively thought he was considering my well-being and even believed that his position as a military doctor was the highest honor. As his wife, I didn't want to trouble him, so I gradually stopped disturbing him. It wasn't until I had a difficult childbirth, and the village doctors were at a loss, that they said only Xie could save me. I sent someone to deliver a message to him day and night, but he only replied with, "My sister-in-law has a fever, and I can't get away." After the child was born, I developed a chronic illness. The first thing he did after returning from his military service was not to visit, but to ask for a divorce, all because he said he couldn't let Xie Tianxi become a fatherless bastard. I just find it ridiculous. During all these years Rina Chin had followed him with the army. Everyone had tacitly accepted her as Mrs. Xie, while my child and I were nothing but burdens without a name or status. I was about to say something when a sudden crash came from outside the door. Xie Tianxi burst in like a cannonball, slamming me into the fireplace. My back slammed hard against the furnace, the scorching metal pressing against my arm. I let out a muffled groan of pain, watching helplessly as a layer of my skin peeled off. "You wretched woman, what are you doing here? Are you trying to steal Dad from me?" Xie Tianxi yelled at me. "You're just a poor country bumpkin. You make me sick just looking at you." He spoke rapidly, still in perfect Mandarin. Rina Chin quickly stepped forward to hold him back, softly coaxing, "Tianxi, speak to her in the local dialect. She doesn't understand Mandarin." I looked down at Xie Tianxi and smiled. "Who are you calling a cheap woman? Who taught you that?" He was clearly taken aback. "No one in our village speaks Mandarin. And I learned it word by word from TV dramas just to get closer to Xie." My arms were already blistered, aching and numb. Xie stood at a distance and tossed over a piece of gauze. "Leah, he's just a child and doesn't know any better. Don't take it to heart, just rinse that injury with cold water yourself." I stared at him intently. "You're a doctor. You know that if this kind of burn isn't treated, it could get infected, yet you're telling me to bandage it myself." He glanced at me impatiently. "If you hadn't come here recklessly on your own, would this have happened? Once you've treated your wound, go back," he added, without even taking a step closer. I stared at him blankly, my throat as if blocked by something, unable to utter a sound. I never thought that in his eyes, I was such an unnecessary presence. "But I don't plan on going back." Chapter 3, Xie, upon hearing these words, suppressed the displeasure in his voice. "Leah Song, you can't stay here. I told you a long time ago, didn't I? This place is dangerous, it's not somewhere a woman should be. Go back tomorrow and wait for me at home." I looked at him, and my eyes instantly reddened. I was injured during childbirth and fell ill afterward, so I can't do any farm work. There's no food ration at home. The child has no milk to drink, and my body is about to give out. What do you want me to go back for? To wait for death? Xie frowned, looking at me with disgust. "During the flu outbreak a while ago, I sent you a bunch of medicine. How could you still get sick? There were also grain coupons and cloth coupons, all sent back on time. Why are you pretending to be pitiful now?" I laughed. He laughed until tears streamed down his face. I widened my eyes, staring at him intently. "Xie, you never sent me any of those things, even when I was pregnant, running a high fever and nearly losing consciousness, and wrote you so many letters. You never came back even once. Do you know what I ate throughout my entire pregnancy?" Xie frowned, his tone tinged with disbelief. "How is that possible?" He paused mid-sentence, as if suddenly remembering something, and turned to look at Rina Chin, somewhat incredulously. He walked over to her and whispered a few words. Shortly after, Xie Tianxi's voice came from inside the room. "Dad, how could you side with an outsider to bully Mom? Those things originally belonged to the three of us. Why should we give them to an outsider?" Xie was busy comforting Xie Tianxi and only came out after a while, his tone turning stiff. "Leah, those letters were torn by Tianxi. I didn't know, he's still young, and I didn't notice either. The things that were supposed to be sent to you earlier, maybe sister-in-law forgot for a moment. I just find it ridiculous. So you never suspected why you never heard from me. And you never even bothered to ask. Ricia frowned, looking completely justified. How was I supposed to know what was going on your end? I thought you just didn't want to write to me. Besides, sister-in-law spent all that money on me anyway. What are you so angry about now? I gritted my teeth, unable to speak. Perhaps my expression was too unpleasant. Ricia came over and took my hand. Leah, don't be like this. In the future, I'll go to the mailroom to get the letters myself. And I'll care about how you and the child are doing. Don't be upset. You haven't been feeling well lately, so stay here a few more days. I'll help you recuperate. Wait until you're fully recovered before going back. The child needs you too. I snorted coldly, not wanting to engage with him at all, and turned to go inside. Ricia followed closely behind. With no one else in the room, his gaze suddenly turned intense. He sat by my bedside and whispered softly, I miss you so much, Leah. After saying that, he couldn't wait to kiss my lips. The next second, there was a violent knocking at the door. Xietianxi sat at the doorway, his arm clearly showing a large area of red, swollen burns. Reincarnation stood by in a panic, completely at a loss. She cried, gasping for breath, I don't know what happened. That kettle wasn't supposed to be there. Maybe Leah moved the kettle when she poured water earlier, and Tianxi didn't know, so he bumped into it. Xietianxi cried while pointing at me and cursing loudly, it's all because of this bastard, it's all because of this wretched woman. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't have been scolded at all. Dad, I don't want her living here, make her leave. Chapter 4, Ricia's expression clearly showed impatience, his gaze turning colder. Leah, you can stay here if you want, but why do you have to mess with things? Do you know that children have delicate skin? What if it leaves a scar after being burned? I frowned. Ricia, I didn't touch anything just now. Before I could finish speaking, Ricia impatiently bumped into me and walked towards Xietianxi. My arm, still not fully healed from a burn, hit the wall behind me, and a sharp pain surged from deep within my nerves. Ricia didn't even look at me, only saying coldly, Leah Song, your arrival has disrupted the harmony here. Can't you see, Tianxi has been very irritable these past 2 days. I've never seen him like this before. I stared at him blankly, my throat tightening. Are you asking me to leave? He didn't answer, just silently looked away, as if in silent agreement. After a long time, I finally spoke, I'm not leaving. You are my husband. The one who should leave isn't me. Hearing this, Ricia sighed irritably and pulled me outside. My arm was still bleeding, but he didn't even glance at it, just roughly stuffed a few food ration coupons into my bag. Get out of here. Don't get in our way. Hearing this, I felt a sudden tightness in my chest, and my breathing became uneven. Turning around, I saw him squatting beside Xietianxi, applying medicine to his wounds. It's not that he doesn't know how to be good to people, he simply doesn't want to be good to me. Just moments ago, when he was bandaging Xietianxi, his technique was skilled and meticulous, but when it came to me, he wouldn't even hand a piece of gauze a little closer. The onlookers grew in number, their eyes filled with disdain. Xietianxi's cries continued to come from inside the room, mixed with Ricia's soft words of comfort to Reincarnation. Someone in the crowd whispered, isn't this the mistress? Exactly. I always said Dr. Xie seems upright, not like someone who would have an affair. This woman has no shame, probably rushing to break up someone else's family. Before I could even retort, the door suddenly swung open. Ricia stood at the door, his gaze cold and indifferent. Leah Song, hurry up and leave. Don't embarrass yourself here. Even Reincarnation spoke up, holding Xietianxi in her arms, her tone gentle. Leah, Tianxi is fine. Even though you left him with such a big scar, he won't blame you. The voices around me grew increasingly chaotic, but I suddenly fell silent. I looked up at Reincarnation, a slow smile curling at the corner of my lips. Then, I knelt down step by step, wailing uncontrollably, Sister-in-law, Tianxi is your and eldest brother's child. Don't worry, I will take good care of them and treat them as my own sons. I looked up at her, tears in my eyes. But my tone carried a sarcastic plea. Please, give my husband back to me. Okay. Chapter 5, the people around me fell silent upon hearing me say husband. They all turned their gazes toward Ricia. their eyes filled with confusion and disbelief. Wait a minute, she just called Reincarnation's sister-in-law. What's their relationship? I'm from the same village as Dr. Xie, and I also remember that Dr. Xie's wife's surname seems to be Song, not Qin. Right, I thought I remembered it wrong before. But it turns out something really happened. All sorts of whispers drifted into Xie's ears. His face darkened, and he abruptly pushed through the crowd, forcibly pulling me up from the ground. I struggled against him, and my freshly scalded arm was exposed in the struggle. The skin on the arm was torn and bleeding, causing everyone to gasp in shock. My God, is that arm almost rotten? How did this happen? Could it be that Reincarnation was jealous of her and hurt her? Xie couldn't pull me away. So he whispered in my ear, Leah, let's go inside to talk. Don't make a scene out here. But I shook my head desperately, my voice choked with sobs. Reese, please stop scolding me and hitting me. I agree to put Tianxi in my household register. Is that not enough? Back then, you said Reincarnation was in poor health and insisted on bringing her along with the army. But now, she doesn't look like a patient at all. She's much healthier than I am. I beg you. Don't divorce me. Don't abandon our child. As soon as I spoke, everyone around instantly understood the whole story. Several young soldiers, their faces ashen, stepped forward. Dr. Xie, we always thought you were a good man, but we never expected you to do something like this. How could you bring your sister-in-law to join the army with you? Everyone knows only spouses are allowed to apply for military accompaniment. Reincarnation couldn't help but step forward, her face pale. That's not true. Reese and I are innocent. We didn't do anything. Xie also grew anxious. Everyone, don't misunderstand, my elder brother has passed away. So it's only right for me to take care of my sister-in-law. But the crowd no longer had the same trusting expression as before. Even if you're taking care of her, is this really the way to do it? A widow following the army. How would that look if word got out? In our village, just the gossip alone would be enough to drown her. Dr. Xie gets so many food stamps every month, claiming it's to support his mother, but he doesn't send a single one back home. His wife and children are left eating chaff and wild herbs, watching them go from doubt to clarity one by one. I finally couldn't hold back my tears. Xie, then tell me, if it weren't for your selfish motives, why have you never cared about our family? The day the child was born with a high fever, I came to beg for medicine, but you said Xie Tianxi's health was more important. Do you know how your mother has treated me all these years? No food to eat. I didn't gain a single pound during my pregnancy. Instead I lost 10 pounds. Who would have thought I'm actually 6 years younger than my sister-in-law? The crowd completely erupted, all eyes fixed on Xie's face. Oh my God, I thought this woman was older than Reincarnation. But she's actually younger. That complexion, that physique, it's like she's been completely worn out. Her child almost died, and Xie is still here indulging in romantic affairs. The calm in Xie's eyes finally began to crumble. He called my name in a low voice, stepped forward, and carefully held my trembling hand. I'm sorry, Leah, I didn't know. I really didn't know. I swear, once this mission is over, I will go home and give you and the child a better life. I turned my face away, not wanting to look at him anymore. Just then, the minister strode over with several officers. Seeing me kneeling on the ground, covered in wounds, his expression changed abruptly. What's going on? How did this happen? Chapter 6. Several officers quietly reported the details of what had just happened in his ear, and the minister frowned deeply. Xie, what on earth is going on? Xie shuddered. It's all right, minister. This is a family matter. After saying this, he hurriedly reached out to pull me. Leah, come on, let's go inside and talk. But the minister stopped him, frowning as he looked at him. She's hurt this badly, and you're still being so rough with her. Even though you're a doctor, you're still with the army, and you must follow military discipline. Back when you submitted the military deployment information, whose name did you use? Was it Leah Song, or Reincarnation? Xie mumbled, not daring to speak. The minister merely glanced at him sideways before speaking. If you dare to forge your identity or falsify information, that is deceiving both superiors and subordinates, and a desecration of military discipline. As he spoke, the minister gently helped me to stand behind him, looking at my bruised and battered arm. His eyes were filled with heartache. Miss, tell me, what help do you need? I can make decisions for you. From now on, you will be an official family member of our unit and receive the best treatment. Alright, I looked at him, tears finally unable to hold back and falling, yet I still gently shook my head. No, I only want to divorce Reincarnation. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone froze. Their eyes instantly fixed on me. Reincarnation pushed Reincarnation away abruptly and rushed over to me. What did you say, Leah? Have you lost your mind? You just gave birth, and now you want to divorce me? Yes, I want a divorce from you. My voice was steady, yet every word cut like a knife. All these years, you've only cared about your sister-in-law's family, you've never paid attention to me, and you've never cared about our child. I always thought you were just too busy in the military. It wasn't until today that I realized you've been raising someone else's child as if he were your own son. I don't want you anymore, even if I starve to death with our child. I don't want him to have a father as fickle as you. Reincarnation's face instantly changed, and he hurriedly stepped forward to grab my hand. Leah, what kind of talk is this? There must be some misunderstanding, and I'm not as despicable as you're making me out to be. We can't get a divorce. I looked up and met his gaze, asking coldly, why not? Haven't you already started a new family? Why are you still clinging to me now? I shook him off and turned to face the minister. Minister, I formally request a divorce. I hope you will approve it. Reincarnation became anxious upon hearing this. He pulled me over, his face grim. Minister, this matter requires my approval to proceed. She alone cannot make the decision. The minister's face darkened, his gaze noticeably cooling. Though he didn't agree, he still shook his head at me helplessly. I also understood the minister's difficulties and decided to settle in first, then carefully think of a strategy. Seeing that I had softened my stance, the minister immediately instructed someone to take good care of me. A short while later, someone brought clean clothes and arranged a room for me, advising me to rest well in the coming days. I had planned to leave as soon as I thought of a way to divorce, but I didn't expect Reincarnation to hold me back and not let me go. He followed me into the room and spoke in a hushed voice. Leah, let's not get a divorce, okay? I can't live without you. Besides, we already have a child. I don't want him to grow up without a father from the moment he's born. I looked at him and sneered. Fine. Then have your sister-in-law move out and stop living together. Chapter 7. Reincarnation's expression suddenly changed, his tone carrying a hint of impatience. Where can she go? Being a woman, she's in poor health. How will she manage? Besides, Chenzi is timid. Without his father, how will he get by at school? I looked at him, my gaze as cold as ice. If you care so much about them, why have you never cared about me? Do you know how your mother has been mistreating me for the past 3 years? The day before I got pregnant, she still forced me to carry water from the mountain to bathe. I walked back and forth more than a dozen times, falling until I was covered in injuries, unable to even stand up, and she still called me useless. Reincarnation, when you were taking care of someone else's son, did you ever think that your wife was also suffering, that your child was also sick? Reincarnation opened his mouth, wanting to say something. In the end, he just silently lowered his head and let out a long, deep sigh. The room was eerily quiet, so much so that even the rustling of the wind through the branches outside could be heard clearly. Reincarnation was still sighing, his lips moving slightly, opening his mouth several times without making a sound. I suddenly spoke up. You won't agree to the divorce, will you? I turned around, my face no longer showing a trace of pleading. But I don't need you to sign it either. He froze. I pulled a piece of paper from under the pillow and unfolded it slowly. It was the report I had written, with each character clearly and meticulously penned. It doesn't matter if you refuse to sign the divorce agreement. I've already written a report and am ready to send it to the Military District Supervision Department. I looked at him and said, word by word, you arbitrarily altered the military family registration, reporting your widowed sister-in-law as your spouse. This matter, if investigated, is no small issue. Reincarnation's face instantly turned pale, and his voice lowered. Are you threatening me? I smiled, and in that moment, I even felt a sense of relief. It's not a threat, it's a reminder. I've finally learned not to rely on your conscience, so I'm giving you a choice. Keep your pride, or get a divorce and return everything that belongs to me. You decide. Reincarnation didn't answer, just held my hand and kept sighing. After a long while, he murmured, Leah, give me a month. Okay, I will definitely give you a satisfactory answer. I nodded. After all, my health wasn't good at the moment, and I needed Rissier to help me recuperate. Besides, the evidence I currently have is enough to bring him down, so I'm not afraid of any new moves he might make. I stayed in the military camp, and Rissier came every day. He was trying to sound me out, not wanting to divorce me, but every time I was very firm, as long as he said he didn't want a divorce. I would make him send his sister-in-law away. After being told several times, Rissier seemed to grow a bit impatient, and his initial reluctance to divorce began to waver. Still, he insisted he didn't want a divorce, but ever since I brought up the idea of divorce that day, the atmosphere in the military unit changed. The minister personally kept me and arranged for me to work as an assistant in the medical office. It was said to be taking care of the doctor's family. But I knew it was more like a clear message. But Reincarnation and Rissier pretended not to understand and continued to do as they pleased every day. I didn't bother with them either, since after divorcing Rissier, I would need to focus on my own career, so during these days, I learned many new things. During the day, I assisted with medication registration, and at night, I gradually organized the account books from these years. I even made 3 copies of the military assignment application form that Rissier had secretly altered that year, sorted them into categories, and placed them in envelopes. When the minister came for the inspection, he casually praised me for being meticulous, then said to Rissier, "Your wife is truly a great help at home. You should cherish her dearly." He smiled stiffly, while Reincarnation beside him lowered her head, a faint trace of panic visible in her eyes. Chapter 8. Seeing that I had been bringing up divorce less frequently recently, Rissier excitedly started planning our life after the military assignment ended, but he didn't know that during the day, while I was helping manage the medicine inventory, a young soldier came and handed me a letter signed by the Beijing Garrison Command Discipline Inspection Department. I opened it and saw that it was an acknowledgement letter. The issues you reported, such as falsification of military family information, private use of military resources, and failure to fulfill military family support duties, have been received. A formal investigation will be conducted after verification. Thank you for your cooperation and trust. I folded the letter and placed it inside a book behind the medicine cabinet. From this moment on, Rissier's truly good days came to an end. Before Rissier's story could be exposed, Reincarnation got into trouble first. I was organizing the medicine cabinet in the infirmary when someone ran in breathlessly, speaking excitedly. "Leah, come out quickly. Dr. Sier has gone mad. He's hitting people." I frowned and put down what I was holding. Stepping outside, I saw Rissier rushing into the military camp's living area, his face deathly pale, his eyes almost filled with despair. He kicked open Reincarnation's door. A logistics soldier in military uniform inside the room hadn't even reacted before he was knocked down with a punch. Reincarnation was only wearing a loosely tied nightgown, with light makeup on her face, and she was still holding the bracelet Rissier had obtained for her. She panicked, crying as she tried to stop Rissier. "Rhys, let me explain. It's not what you think, not what I think." Rissier seemed to have gone mad, his voice hoarse. "I even lost my wife for you. And it turns out you were already with someone else." He roared like a wild beast, his eyes bloodshot, his fingers trembling. "You said you were unwell and asked me to take you with the army. You said you were afraid the villagers would bully you, afraid that no one would take care of Tianxi. And what happened? You're in my house, sleeping with another man. Are you worthy of my brother?" I stood at the very edge of the crowd, watching quietly without saying a word. Someone recognized me and whispered, "Leah, aren't you going in to take a look?" I smiled and shook my head. The next morning, Rissier arrived. He stood at the door of the infirmary, unshaven and with hollow eyes. He looked at me, his voice hoarse. "Leah, I was wrong. I realize now that you are the most important. That bitch Reincarnation has been deceiving me all along. She even used the food coupons I gave you to support another man." I didn't look at him and continued taking inventory of the medical supplies. "Didn't you say, she is the widow of our elder brother, and I should take care of her on his behalf? You said she definitely wouldn't covet your things, didn't you?" He was left speechless, remaining silent for a long time before finally speaking. "She deceived me. I truly didn't know she was with someone else. But how are you any different? You've been deceiving me all along." I looked up at him, my gaze as calm as a stagnant pond. "Do you really think I can't tell that your relationship with Reincarnation is unusual? Do you really believe I would think you two are innocent when you brought her along as part of the military entourage? It's just that back then, I was still foolish, still in love with you. So I chose to deceive myself into believing you. Not anymore. His voice trembled. I chuckled softly. Reese. Every single thing you've done has been you pushing me away with your own hands. He fell to his knees with a thud. Leah, please, don't leave me. I'm willing to put the house and land under your name. I just beg you not to report me, not to get a divorce. As I looked at the disheveled man before me, the image of myself, heavily pregnant, falling down the mountain flashed through my mind. I glanced down at him, my voice as soft as it could be. I am no longer the woman you thought would forgive you and depend on you. Chapter 9. Less than 10 days after the report was submitted, the disciplinary commission issued an official document. Reese was discharged from military service, stripped of his military medical qualifications, and permanently barred from re-employment due to issues including unauthorized modification of military family records, misuse of supplies, and falsification of military entourage information. Reincarnation was also sent back to her hometown, and what was originally claimed as taking care of the widow turned into supporting the sister-in-law. Those colleagues who had privately supported him no longer said a word in his defense, and because of the Reincarnation incident, Xietianxi was utterly humiliated. Now he dares not leave the house, muttering like a madman every day that he is not a bastard, that he has a father, but all of that has nothing to do with me anymore. After Reese was detained, the minister approved my divorce application. The speed of the process even took me by surprise. I left the military district with my child, officially divorced. On the day I left, many people came to see me off, including the soldier who stood up for me. He handed me a letter. It's from the Military Commission Garrison Department. They've read your work report and the letter of recommendation about your deeds. And they're willing to invite you to join the medical and logistics team. I was taken aback for a moment, then took the letter, my heart suddenly leaping with joy. Upon arriving in the capital, the work was busy but steady. The child has also received systematic treatment, and his health is gradually improving. I used the money I earned to rent a house and started a new life. The child is slowly learning to speak and has started calling me Mom. He is no longer the poor, malnourished child from the previous life. In this life, I fed him until he was chubby, and by the age of 3, he could already recite the 300 Tang poems. In the 4th year of arriving in the capital, I took the child to the hospital for a follow-up appointment. Outside the entrance, a military vehicle was parked not far away. It was my current direct superior who came to pick me up in person. He has always been very supportive of me, not the kind of passionate pursuit, but a patient wait. He smiled and waved at me, holding the gifts he had bought for me in Xiaobao. I was just finishing wrapping the scarf around the child, ready to walk toward him, when I heard a hoarse shout from behind. Leah. I didn't move, nor did I stop walking, until the voice called out a second time. Hoarse and pleading, Leah Song, wait for me, it's me, Reese. Only then did I turn around. Reese was wearing a faded old military coat. His face no longer carried the heroic spirit it once had, only exhaustion and weariness remained. He had lost a lot of weight, with dark circles under his eyes from years of poor sleep. He cautiously approached me, his voice trembling. Leah, I've been released from prison. I've thought a lot about these past years while I was inside. I was wrong. How are you doing now? I glanced down at him, my tone cold and steady. Dr. Xie, you've mistaken me for someone else. I took the child's hand and got into the car without looking back. The political director glanced back at him, looking at me with eyes full of concern. Leah, who is that? Is it some homeless person you kindly helped, and now he's bothering you? Do you need me to step in and drive him away for you? I shook my head. Don't worry about him, he's just a useless person. The car door slowly closed. At that moment, I saw Reese kneeling on the ground, his eyes red, as if he was still calling out my name, but I could no longer hear that voice. I thought things would end right there. I never expected that from that day on. Reese would wait outside the hospital where I work every single day, as if he had gone mad. Coincidentally, one day my boss didn't come to pick me up. As I was walking out alone after my night shift, I saw Reese standing under the plane tree across the street. He was wearing that faded military coat, his hair was a mess, and he was holding a lunchbox in his hand. He ran over to me with an awkward, ingratiating smile on his face. Leah, I specially made your favorite spare rib soup. It's still warm. Would you like some? I didn't stop, not even glancing at him as I walked around him. He grew anxious, dropped the lunchbox, and chased after me, spreading his arms to block my way. Are you really not giving me any chance at all? I've already lost everything. I can't get into the military. I can't even get into a hospital. Everyone looks down on me. I just want you to forgive me once. I finally stopped walking, slowly raised my eyes to look at him, my gaze devoid of any emotion. Why should I forgive you, Reese? Yeah, do you think just because you're in a sorry state, I should soften my heart? But have you forgotten? The most wretched moment of my life was when you kicked me out the door. When I begged you not to drive me away, you said Reincarnation would be disgusted at the sight of me. What's with this sudden show of affection now? He froze, a contorted expression of regret spreading across his face. I was out of my mind back then. I was despicable. I raised my hand to cut him off. Shut up, Reese. Yeah, hearing even a single word from you makes me sick now. Aren't you in love with your sister-in-law and her son? Didn't you say Tianxi would get bullied at school without a father? Then why don't you go back to them? What, now that you realize you're a joke, you want to drag me down with you again? Aren't you supposed to be broad-minded? What's the big deal about wearing a green hat? He froze in place, his eyes reddening, his voice almost pleading. Leah, I've really changed. Don't be so heartless. Even if you won't forgive me, at least let me see our child. After all, he's never met his father since he was born. I chuckled softly, taking a step closer to him and whispering in his ear. No, he already has a father. Reese froze in place, not understanding what I meant. I raised an eyebrow at him but didn't say anything more. He reached out to grab me, but I pushed his hand away and walked straight toward the hospital entrance. Behind me, he collapsed to the ground as if his soul had left him, murmuring my name over and over. He threw me into the mud, but I bloomed a flower from it. Now he wants to pick it back up, but all I feel is disgust. He lives in regret, while I live in the light. I will take my child and pursue the good life that belongs to me.